everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 71, Cherokee Bigfoot. I see Donald's here, Mr. Lee, Tom Cruise. Welcome. Shouldn't all of you be at the Church of Scientology right now? Angel, welcome. Mr. Lee says, I just finished watching Bigfoot Odyssey show from yesterday, Randy's Encounter. It was a good show. Mr. Lee's liking the intro again. Thank you. Grasshopper, what's up? What are you saying what to? I don't know what you're saying what about. But welcome. Pay per view to get back to. Oh, man. That's all right. That's right. I don't remember if... I think we might have looked at some of this before. Donald's going to miss everything, Mr. Lee. I know it. But we're getting ready to hit Thanksgiving. And... which means hopefully people in the United States are thinking about the history behind that and what it really means. And really what happened was, you know, we came over here and kind of brutally took some stuff, took some land. And here we are celebrating. Well, I say that I mean, I have ancestors from both sides, so it's like, it's not exactly that, you know, the citizens today have anything to do with it, but the government entity was not very nice about how things went down. And it's not that all the tribal governments, the tribal leadership and all their decisions were necessarily the greatest at either. You know, any kind of government body is going to, you know, do some kind of atrocious things sometimes, but still, I thought we should have a little bit of Indian, Native American, First Nations, I think is what they typically call them up north, and whatever word you use. Cray, crypto weirdos. Donald says, we are bad people. Grasshopper says, people have been wiping each other out and taking land since time began. And that's true. That's true. I just think, you know, in the Indian tribes, they were doing that to each other long before, you know, we showed up a lot of times. So, you know, I just think that maybe we need to kind of recognize that we definitely got the upper hand in the deal as far as the Europeans go. And flat out conquered this place. So, Mr. Lee says, what about the English in Australia then? That bad? Yeah. Some of the same atrocities occurred down there. I really ought to, you know, if I could find a time, start doing probably a channel that's specifically about, you know, the micronation stuff. You know, I've tried not to go too far down that rabbit hole with this, because, you know, here we are, you know, here it is a tongue-in-cheek nation, a tongue-in-cheek empire, which, you know, who knows, maybe people latch on and say, you know what, this LOCKBEARD guy might have a, you know, a good idea or two. But you never know. Some of those micronations got real serious at times, and there was a few occasions that we talked about where some governments didn't like what they were doing and blew them the hell up. So that says something, you know, if you're a startup nation and an established nation nearby it doesn't want to let you get started and they come and they blow your ass up. That says something. Like they're actually afraid that a new nation taking hold. Why would they send their military to blow them up? Grasshopper says that why do the white Europeans take the blame for all takeovers? Well, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. You know, I've talked about before how, you know, if we go way back in time, way before Columbus, way before the Vikings, because there were some Vikings here. I know, you know, there's evidence that Vikings got here centuries before Columbus. Columbus didn't discover shit. In fact, I ought to play you guys. I'm going to play you a clip from Russell Means, but it's not the clip where he kind of cracks a joke about that. But maybe some other time. I don't know. But going way back to the story of the red-headed people who it appears may have been quite a bit taller than the natives, or the people we call natives. They're not actually native. There were people here before them, but that's a whole nother ball of wax. Anyway, apparently a significantly taller race of redheaded people, and I think that this might be the source of a lot of the redheaded giants stories. Well, they're not like giants the way you're thinking when you hear that. They're just taller people, you know, in the same way, like I've mentioned before. I've worked with Southeast Asian men who were a full foot shorter than I am, and I'm not very tall. You know, I'm not. So some of you guys are like 6 foot plus. Well, I'm not. And these guys were way shorter than me, and that's just kind of the way they are. Well, if you looked at them and they, you know, imagine you're back in prehistory and their tribe run across men like me, we would seem like giants. You know, outweighing them by, you know, in the lean condition, 50 to 100 pounds. We would seem like giants. And so when they tell the story, it gets passed on and passed on. And then one day someone hears a story about these giants and they're like, oh my gosh. Well, they weren't like giants the way you're thinking. They were just some bigger people. But yeah, anyway, that redheaded giants thing, the Paiutes tell the story about how they completely exterminated a tribe of redheaded people that were here in the United States. Well, long before it was the United States, but in the Americas. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard. I'm just saying, you know, this is, you know, they're still here, you know, and there's some of them that would like to be, you know, separate from the federal government and not be under their thumb anymore. I understand. I want to be out from underneath the thumb of the federal government too. I wish I could have some section of land somewhere that I could be free of their tyranny, their evil. But it's, you know, Donald says I'll be back. Burnout competition should be soon. Grasshopper says another Alexander the Great was a Greek colonist. What's the difference? Not much. Not really much. It existed everywhere, and everybody did it. But you know, even now, like today, you know, the I don't know what it is about Russell Means. I liked Russell Means. He's dead now. But American Indian movement. He called the reservations concentration camps. And there were some not very nice things that happened in very recent history. You know, I expect that, you know, our government should have in those by those times stopped treating people less than human. I mean, it was only in the 60s when you know, the civil rights happened and all that, where people started treating blacks as if they were equal humans fully. You know, it's just, it's amazing how it's, you know, people, I think, forget that stuff. You know, we shouldn't, again, people today aren't at fault for that. That was the government, but we're not recognizing also that our government now has figured out how to subjugate us all. Genghis Khan DNA. Yeah, 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 and about a third of the planet too. Welcome to the chat, Uncle Bones. Mr. Lee says that Viking blood. Mutt. Yeah. King Kong DNA, just saying. Well, alrighty then. Donald has 16-inch feet. He's got a King Kong dong. Is that what you're saying? My eyes is here saying I'm back. Thanks for coming, my eyes. Grasshopper says my namesake was born in London 1752 and came over here as an indentured slave. Yep. Europeans were doing it to themselves. Michael says, who was kin to Genghis Khan? Man, the chat's starting to fly. Let me make sure I said hi to everybody. Grasshopper says American Indians could have been wiped out like hundreds of other people going back millennia. Very true. They were pretty lucky. But I mean, the sheer numbers that were wiped out, like when you learn about the cities of millions that were in South America that got completely wiped out by the diseases that were brought by the Europeans, that's just not cool. And very sad. And those great cities were overtaken by the jungle, and it's only recently that we've started to rediscover that these cities are there, you know. So they're digging up so much stuff now. Jen's here. She's saying hello to everybody. Welcome, Jen. Let's look at this. I got it slightly sped up. It's about 10 minutes long, but we'll check it out.
Deep in the heart of the Cherokee Nation, locals have spotted a mysterious creature. We tagged along as they tracked and collected evidence of the beast many know as Bigfoot.
There is a vast area, natural forests that people have never seen before. And our elders have told us that there were beings that lived in the woods. Today we hear the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but in our Cherokee history, in our culture, we call them Uni-Udawihi, the mythical or the secluded tribe. Now, from the cultural aspect of it, these creatures were put here by our creator, Netlana, and these beings were put here to help us. On our villages in ancient times, we had boundaries where we hunted and gathered, and we would present berries and edible roots at the edge of our boundaries as an offering to these creatures. And in return, these creatures would help us and protect us during our times of hunting and gathering. These beings existed a long time ago, and they do exist today. They're just not talked about as much, and some people get glimpses of them every now and then. We've been coon hunting with buddies that, I caught a glimpse of something that was, to me, was unbelievable. I see a lot more groups involved in, wanting to go out and prove that this thing exists. Is it going to be proven or is it not going to be proven? Well, curiosity drives human nature. And if you're always looking for something, you're going to find.
My entire life, I've been in the woods probably 4,000 times. And out of all those times, I've had 27 encounters with what I would truthfully say was a Bigfoot. It's become a part of our culture that these creatures coexist with us. I have other members of the Cherokee Nation come up to me and say, hey, I've seen one. My name is Darren Lee. I go by DW Lee. I'm the executive director for Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center. The MABRC is an international organization. We have 500 plus members. The goal of the MABRC is to actually accumulate as much information and evidence as we can. So when it is proved to science, I can say, okay, here's what I got. You either take it and use it, throw it away, whatever you want. But I've done my part. We believe Bigfoot is a large primate. They're all hairy, got a big foot, more of an ape-like features to its face. It has above average intelligence. The ones in this area are about 7 to 8 feet tall. For the most part, they are shy, they are elusive, and as long as you don't corner one, they usually stay pretty at ease with you. When the MABRC decides to do an expedition, we don't want to go in an area that don't have no Bigfoot sightings or any activity. We've actually got a whole bunch of research areas spread across the country. We have some here near Stillwell that are pretty active. This area here, we've had a lot of encounters and sightings and stuff like that down through here. You can see some high-line power poles down there, and we speculate that the Bigfoot use a power line right-of-way as a navigation tool. You know, they just walk along it. It's just a lot of uncharted wilderness out there, probably places out there that man has never stepped foot in. Once we get out there on site, we put our recorders out. What we do is we have these little audio recorders, and we have these what we call drop boxes. And they're tubes that has bark glued on the outside of them. And we have a stick that we can hang at about 20 feet up in the air. What this does is it makes it unnoticeable. We use thermal cameras that are portable that we can take everywhere with us. We also use parabolic listening devices, which are big bowls with a microphone in the middle. And these take the sounds and focuses them on that microphone. We also use drones to fly over an area. A lot of times when we go out on expeditions, we'll have members do a vocalization. We speculate that Bigfoot makes these whooping sounds. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a Bigfoot to respond to these whoops. The vocalizations that Randy's been doing, even if we don't hear a response here, if there's one farther up in the valley, hopefully the recorders will pick it up.
In most primates, the long calls are used as a food response. That food has been found, food is there available.
These vocalizations can mean different things. Hopefully Randy don't ever call in a love-struck Bigfoot. He'll be on his own.
And I can't run.
We have DNA collection kits. If we see a hair sample, we record it, we document it. We look for tree structures. Tree structures are items that's been constructed out in the woods that shouldn't really be there.
There is absolutely no root ball down here whatsoever. This end has been burnt completely. This is not a rotted off end like you would see if it rotted out of the ground. Talk about a balancing act. This is what we see a lot of times on these structures where they'll actually balance. You can try to knock them down and they won't.
There's different speculations what each kind of structure means. This could be just a warning to other Bigfoot. Hey, this behind this is my territory. Don't come any further. It could even be a directional marker. You know, if we follow where it's pointing, we might find a water source. We also look for footprints. You know, when you're 7 or 8 miles back up in the woods and you come across a bare footprint, it's not too likely you got humans running around barefoot up there in the woods.
Looks like we got something here. It's not very big, about maybe 7 inches, 6 inches, not much bigger than that, but there's a toe, and a toe. There's a heel. Side of the foot's well defined. That's actually castable.
Based on the size, like Jim said, it's probably 7.5 inches. If anything, it's probably maybe a 1-year-old at the most.
At the
Even
most,
that,
maybe.
yeah.
It'd only be something probably about this tall. Well, let's go ahead and cast this one. That's a pretty good little impression for this part of the state. And we'll pull this out of the ground and see what it looks like when it sets. This is a impression of a possible Bigfoot track. The typical size that people find for these things in Oklahoma is Generally between 16 to 20 inches for the adults. Stuff smaller than that would be juveniles. In humans, we wear shoes and it causes the toe to get diverted inwards, and it's a deformity caused from wearing shoes. When you see a toe that's splayed out like that, that means that whatever left the footprint has never worn shoes.
The MABRC does not make a definitive claim that anything is Bigfoot. We're very scientifically minded. You got to let the research show you what's out there. As the executive director of the MABRC, I'm basically taking care of the website, taking care of the forums. I also get evidence from our guys, video evidence, picture evidence. A lot of times I'll take a photo, and what I'm doing is I'm zooming in on it. I'm changing the pixelization on it. I'm changing from color to black and white to see if there's anything that pops out at me. Some of the most compelling evidence that the MABRC has collected. We do have a lot of thermal footage. We have several videos of a Bigfoot in the same location 2 weeks apart, filmed by 2 different researchers. We also have a picture of what we believe is a juvenile Bigfoot going across a trail down here in southeast Oklahoma. We also have hair samples. Some of them have unknown qualities to them that don't line up to other animals. Most reported Bigfoot hair doesn't have that medulla in there like human hair and dog hair and stuff like that. For audio recordings, we actually had a recording of what we believe could possibly be a Bigfoot. That was our researcher doing that call. That was the return response. The thing about humans, we think we know a lot, but as far as our planet goes, we probably only know maybe 5% of what's actually on our planet. We discover new species every day. So for us to find more information about our planet and what exists with us, I think that is really key for our survival in the end run, whether it's considered paranormal or normal. We need to find this stuff out.
I think we have looked at a clip from that before, but I don't think we looked at the whole thing. So it sounds like Uncle Bones has some experience with Russell Means. Pretty cool, man. What did you? I mean, did you feel he was asking a little much from the government? Larry was a huge supporter of Russell and the AIM movement. Yeah, the Bardell was loud enough though. Grass says, "Don't run that Thomas Seward clip. He's an idiot." Hoot back. Well, a lot of people, when they're talking about Bigfoot, they bring up the Indian stories. You know, they have this different perspective about things and how they view the earth, and Russell Means in this clip here, he talks a little bit about that here. Just a moment.
Mother Earth here
is what really it's all about. The female-male balance in the universe. As you can see, the disrespect for everything that is sacred is what's wrong with this society. And nothing's ever going to happen until this society accepts the fact in their heart, not in the right side of their brain, as the so-called Western scientists have ascertained the right brain thinking, the linear mathematical equation to life. But what is needed is the knowledge and the wisdom that the earth is a living being. Even the Bible, a male-dominated religion, tells you dust to dust, that we come from the earth. And yet, Christian theology is bereft of anything about the environment. Our sacred grandmother, the Mother Earth, is what it's all about. Once we understand and know and feel that she is alive. You know, Western science has ascertained that. In the early 80s, they sank a shaft in Greenland, of all places, a mile or so down into the earth, and brought up data for months and months. And with that data, they ascertained that the earth is a living organism in space.
Government and their flunky reservation cops were very corrupt. Oh yeah, I wonder what their response would have been when they saw the movie Thunderheart. Jen says that those guys said they weren't claiming it was, but they kind of said it was. What do you? Maya says, why is he speaking next to an overturned car? Well, did you hear what he said? Do you see the disrespect? He was talking about the overturned car. He at some point he motions off to the it looks like his left in here. So I think there's some more junk nearby. So he was talking about this junk car lane here and how it, referred to it as disrespect of the earth. Yes, it's nothing unless it's a scam. Umby. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting stuff. He went before Congress and was trying to get them to well, what was he exactly asking? But he wanted to have some land that was part of their original treaty ceded back to them, that because the United States agreed to that at some point, and to create the Republic of Lakota. And of course, that was not successful. The United States, once it's conquered, it won't give it back, except Afghanistan, apparently. Grasshopper says, you can find plenty of junk like the car on the res. They do it to themselves, too. Yeah. But to some extent, I blame, yeah, they could pull themselves out and fix things, but to some extent, I understand the psychological place that they are in now after generations of what the federal government has done to these people. They've been messed up, and it does cross generations. There's even science starting to show that something, the memories even pass to some extent. Memories pass generation to generation, even though most people aren't aware of it too well. These people are in this condition because of what the government has done to them. They wouldn't be like this today if the federal government didn't do this to them. But yes, admittedly, yes, if they took a look around and really tried, you would think they'd be able to pull themselves out of these conditions. But when you have nothing and you've been pushed down, sometimes it's hard to see a way out, and you sit there and you wonder, why try? Why bother? You'll just be pushed down again. Mr. Lee says, junkyard, my favorite place to visit. Lots of good stuff I find. Well, I'm sure they'd let you haul off some of that junk. Maya says, don't get me wrong. I think we screwed Native Americans over completely just reacting to Al. Mr. Lee says, people throw the most amazing shit away. Yeah. But anyway, but you hear how he's talking about the earth as if it's alive. And people need to start thinking of things as if, look, even in Iceland, it doesn't have to be strictly a Native American perspective either. Even in Iceland, where they'll actually build a road around a large boulder because they believe there is some kind of life form attached to that rock, at least. Technically the rock is alive, and but not in the way that you're thinking. Consciousness is where life comes from, and consciousness permeates the entire universe. Now, for most people, you say consciousness, they don't really know, they don't really understand what that is. And I could tell you a few words to explain what it is, but it's still not going to fully resonate for people. I really don't think it does. When I tell you that it's frequency, vibration, energy, that permeates the entire universe. Of course, it needs a medium. These things need a medium. Just like waves in the water, just like sound through the air. It needs a medium, and there is a medium there, and it's called the ether. The ancients knew about it, but modern science does not want to admit that the ether exists. They don't want to admit that. And this is where what many of you would call spirit, soul, is at. It's a scientific thing. It's not magic. It exists. It's just that mainstream science is so hell-bent on denying anything that is what they think of as spiritual. I don't like the word spiritual or spirit for these things because it carries too much connotation. People think of it as this mystical, magical thing. There is nothing magic. There's no magic. It's science. It's strictly science. But it just seems magical because people, from legends, they have this concept of magic. Something that's outside of science. And there's just no such thing. There's things that you could call that you would perceive and think as magic if you don't understand the science that explains it, but it's still just science. It's scientifically explainable. Maya says, Lockbeard, memories are past, and victims of federal government. Agreed, Lockbeard. I don't think it's easy to get out, but that was an owl. That's what I meant. Talking about the owl sound earlier in the other video. Yeah, I mean, Grasshopper says, I've got res stories of millions of dollars being sucked up by the res elite, leaving their own people to fend for themselves. Yeah, that's another thing. And actually, Russell Means talked about this. Oh, man. I don't want to tell the story that he told because I'm going to mess it all up. but I guess I got to, because it took me too long to try and find the video of it. The video is out there somewhere, but this guy Russell Means here, he told a story about I'm gonna jack it all up, but I'll tell you'll get the idea. I'll just tell it the best I can. There were some guys watching over some captured Indians, and these guys studied the Indians and studied and figured out which ones were the weakest ones. And one day they asked the weakest ones to I think it was first, like, one of the guys that were guarding the Indians, like, I assumably Europeans, asked one of them want to go get a smoke in, so they had one of the Indians stand and watch with the other guy, or I think it was, and help him watch the Indians while the other guy smoked. And then they both went out and smoked, and they had the weak Indians watch over the other Indians. And then they decided they wanted to take a few days off, so they gave them some weapons, and they let the weak Indians keep an eye on the captured other Indians. And then basically he's trying to explain that he don't think very highly of the existing tribal governments. Let's just put it that way. And I fully agree with him. In the tribal governments, you have certain elite families that are corrupt in general, usually, and not always, but look, corrupt people seek out positions of government power. It doesn't matter if it's a federal government, the state government, or a Native American government. Corrupt people will jump in there and to suck up that power and to suck up money, and they will take from it. And you go into any Indian tribe, just about all of them, and you talk to some of these people, and you find out that they are being subjugated by their own people, who are the lapdogs of the federal government. They don't want it that way, but they can't get out of it. They're stuck. They're stuck just like us, just like we are slaves of the United States federal government. We're stuck. We're enslaved. We can say we want them to give us back our liberty all day long, and they're just not going to do it. But yeah, you're right. There are traitors in the tribal governments. Donald says the casinos should bring up their morale. I know they scout my pocket on most visits to the res. Yeah, but the problem with it is casinos is a dark thing. I worked for a tribal casino for a couple of years in the past, and I can tell you one thing. Well, it's going to be more than it's going to be. Casinos is not a good thing. Like they make money, but just like with the corruption in the tribal government, that money gets sucked up. It doesn't get spent appropriately. It's misappropriated, and gambling is a dark thing. It comes with it. Like in that casino, people that were there enough and worked there and stuff kind of got the figuring out, that who they're like prostitutes were there, drug dealers were there. Gambling goes hand in hand with drugs and prostitution and stuff like that for a reason. It's a vice, and it's not good for anybody, because we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. It's not good. What the tribes need is something more like the Lumbee tribe has. I've brought them up before. The Lumbee tribe has a chain of banks, and their people are, have jobs that they can be proud of, and and stand on their own 2 feet, and they don't accept handouts from the federal government. They are probably some of the more free people amongst the Indians. It's about, yeah, my eye says Lockbeard, it's about everything having consciousness. Exactly. Everything is part of the field of consciousness. But it's, you know, everything in the universe is fields. It's all energy, frequency, and vibration. And you know, that's what it is. Jen says connecting energy. Yes. Yes. You know, this is why I keep telling people, because a lot of people use some of this terminology, but I don't think they know it as a science. But that's why I tell people, say, look, you know, if you want to understand the science behind this, you need to go study Ken Wheeler's materials. Because then you'll start to get there. But that's a big task. Lockbeard, my eye says Lockbeard, I know what it means, but it's hard to find people who understand consciousness and don't think you're nuts. Yeah. Uncle Bone says Russell wanted to go back, teach traditional ways, and help the young not commit suicide and become alcoholics. Yeah. Yeah. They are, you know, because everything, it's all connected. And if you think of them as one big entity, it's an entity with PTSD that's been enslaved and subjugated. They can't be free. They're not living in the conditions they were when Europeans got here. They need to be set free. But you know, look at them. They're living in white man's houses. They're speaking white man's language. They're wearing white man's clothes, driving white man's cars, eating white man's food. They're drinking white man's fire water. They're worshiping white man's gods. They've had everything stripped from them, and there's just no way out. And so when you think of the psychological trauma, the generational trauma that's still there, that will take if the United States disappeared and they were set free on the plains again to live in the old ways, the traditional ways, in harmony with Earth instead of destructive to the Earth, then it would take them generations to cleanse themselves and heal from the damage of what has been done to them through the history of our nation. I don't know what you and I can do to change any of that. I don't think there's anything we really can. But Mr. Lee says, yes, Lockbeard, Kim Wheeler speaks of consciousness all the time. Yeah. Everything is conscious. See, the thing is they're speaking with an ancient knowledge here. And, you know, the question is do they know this through an instinctual way? Like he seems to say, the way he talks, it seems like to almost be instinctual. But what if it's actually the fact that they have this memory, they have this passed down memory of how the earth is alive, everything is conscious, right? And it's passed down from the ancient civilization, that they are a culture that still remembers it to some extent. And this is a culture that also tells us of Sasquatch. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for posting that. And So the question, because I don't want to totally give it like we can't listen to their stories of Sasquatch and say, well, this must be 100% fact because the Indian said it. No, but we should take notice of it, and the existence. I think some good points that we can pull from them. One is that they exist, that the Sasquatch people exist, but two, and what I've been trying to tell people, and so many are resistance to, is that these are people. They're not an animal. Sasquatch is not an animal. The morphological characteristics of Sasquatch, it's demonstrated in intelligence by just being to hide from us as well as they have. Like we're talking about things that are pretty elusive, like black bear and cougar and stuff like that. Yeah, but when we really want to, we can find those. Like we have hunting seasons for black bear. These things are not that elusive. They're not as elusive as Sasquatch is. And I think the only way that Sasquatch could be as elusive as it has is if they have intelligence on our level, and also being the same species as us, they understand to some extent how we think and how to avoid us intellectually. They have a culture, they have a language. They're not an animal, and certainly and certainly not a separate species from us. They just, I don't know. Sometime I guess I need to really make a proper. I'm trying to figure out how I could properly present this so that people understand why I'm saying this and kind of start to see. But the sooner people start recognizing that it's extremely likely that I'm correct, that Sasquatch is Homo sapiens. They're just a different race. The sooner we recognize that, the sooner we're gonna get some more information, right? Because you got to think about that. You put a well-trained special forces, a whole group of guys out in the woods, and you tell them, say, hey, your job is not to be found by a bunch of Sasquatch researchers. And guess what? You're never going to find those guys. Never. And if we told them to go ahead and off you guys anytime they felt like it, we could send 1,000 Sasquatch researchers out there, and those special forces guys would take them all out. You need to be starting to thinking along those lines and be thankful that Sasquatch doesn't want to take us out. Apparently, because he ain't been doing it, right? They ain't been doing it. These are not a dumb animal out there. These are not a dumb animal out there. I mean, can I prove that conclusively? No. But based on the observations we have so far. Maya says, Jen, it is about how we are all connected. It's a natural phenomenon. The things we connect to, that's a big unknown to me. Ocean Pond, welcome. Maya says, casinos, it's a fixed game. You can't win. Don't think you can. Yeah. I watched that over and over again. I was a shuttle driver. Got to ride free in the parking lot. But people come in and they most of the time they're leaving angry. They lost all their money, and of course they'll tell about, I won this much, and then I won that. They'll always want to talk about when they won, but they don't want to talk about exactly how much they spent. They don't even remember. If they kept track of it all, they would always in every case find out that they are down, and the house always wins. If the house didn't always win, if it didn't, doesn't. Obviously, they lose some and then they win some, but they always win more than they lose. Otherwise, they're not making a profit, and the doors would not be open. And so that averages out to every single gambler is a loser. It just does. And it creates problems. I've seen people leaving their kids and their dogs out in the car in a parking lot so they could go in and gamble. You know, of course, whenever our instructions were, we find that kind of situation, we call tribal police to come and deal with that situation. People would show up at certain days of the month because they just got some money, and then they would gamble and gamble and gamble until they were out, and then you wouldn't see them until payday comes again, till the check comes again. Yeah, it causes all kinds of problems. People do get gambling addiction, and that's a bad thing, very bad thing. Causes domestic violence. It caused some domestic situations right there on site. Miss Maya says, okay, just going to shut up now. Oh, sorry for babbling. No, it's okay. Babble on. Jen says, Mr. Lee got a $10 scratch off today and won 100 or so today. It was not a problem. But tomorrow you get a $10 and you lose. Next day you get a $10 and you lose. Eventually you'll give it all back. You'll give it all back. And they're counting on it. They are counting on it. Mr. Lee says, Uncle Bones, yeah, like my douchebag dad. Sugar mama. Scratch cards in my mate's birthday cards and presents. Congratulations, by the way. Kim Wheeler's channel. Jen says, we are so buried in science and technology, we don't have that connection to the earth energy the way the Native Americans did or do. Yeah, I don't think they all do now. A few may to some extent, but not all of them. Definitely not all of them. They've lost it. But you know, again, Ken Wheeler explains the science of it. So if we could just get enough people to understand it and how it really works, and have that spread to the point that mainstream science cannot ignore it anymore. And I want Ken Wheeler to have recognition for it, because you know, he's standing on the older scientists that worked on some of these things, and he mentions these guys: Heaviside, Steinmetz, Maxwell, and Nikola Tesla. But Kim Wheeler has, taken the next step with some of these things and explained, properly explained magnetism, for example. Mainstream science can't explain magnetism. If they're honest at all, they'll admit, we don't really know how this shit works. Or what it really truly is. They can't properly define a field. They say, oh, there's a field, and okay, so you're sitting here like, okay, but what's a field? Go to Ken Wheeler's channel and you'll start to understand that kind of stuff. But and understand how spooky action, as Einstein called. Einstein couldn't understand it. It was spooky to him because he thought that there was some kind of speed limit on the whole damn universe, light speed, which is complete bullshit. Well, for one, it's technically not a speed at all. That's the wrong word to refer to what you're observing. But also there's no limit. Instantaneous action at a distance is instant, right? You have an instant. No speed is there because it's instantaneous. It's infinite, right? It's instantaneous. Instantaneous transfer of information. How do you have that? And he used of course, I don't got anything really. Maybe I can demonstrate with this wire here. I don't know, because you're used to waves that move like that. Well, because of the nature of this wave, it takes time for, you know, that energy to transfer. But there's a different kind of wave. When you pull on one end or push on one end, the other end instantly comes. That's basically how it works. Donald says, Mr. Lee, I used to enjoy going to the casino for something to do, but when your friends start getting in your pockets, it's not so fun anymore. Yeah. Donald says, true that. Old man would sooner gamble than pay electric. Yeah, that's where you run into some problems right there. Jen says, I don't go to the casino of my own accord. I won't take enough money to play long enough to bother. Yeah. When I worked for the casino, like I could go into the area Indian, because there's several different tribes in the area with their own casinos, and they all kind of, you know, work, you know, gave benefits to each other's employees. So I could go into all these casinos and get some free play. So usually they'd give you a ticket with some free play on it, and then you had to go to the machine and play it. So I'd play the free play until it was gone, and then whatever I'd won off of it, I'd take. So it'd be like $1 or $1.50 typically would be what I'd end up with. So it was kind of not worth it. Yeah, it's like, why am I wasting my time unless I'm already there? But there was one of the casinos where you go up to the window, show them your employee badge, and they just give you a $10 bill. So I'd go get $10 bill and just walk straight out, because $10 is as good as it's going to get. You know, I might, if I went through $10 in the machine every time, I might pop up and win some money one time, but all of those $10 bills I put in would end up equaling more money than I won. On average, that's what's going to happen. That's just the way it works. Donald says, Lockbeard, did you see where I asked Duke how he knew Bigfoot had 3 vocal cords? He says he has a government insider on that for that info. Yeah, how convenient. I got a government insider. Oh, you going to tell us about your government? Oh, yeah, right. You can't talk about government insiders. So he can make up whatever bullshit he wants. He can make up whatever bullshit he wants. And just tell you, well, I can't tell you my source. So I don't want to expose my source. Well, that would be great, you know, if it was real. But the problem is we can't trust you. Duke has spouted so much nonsense, so much bullshit that we can't trust him. You know, if someone says they have an anonymous source, you kind of got to be able to trust them. So they got to have a history of integrity. And I'm not seeing it with this guy. I'm just not. I did notice that now that I got a new account, I'm no longer blocked from any of these guys. So I can see Duke and all these yahoos. I don't think it has bettered my YouTube experience, though. Jen says, when I hit over the cost of the ticket, I keep the profit and only play when I have everything else taken care of. Best way. Uncle Bone says, here's a great movie, Journey Through Rosebud. Light speed is rubbish. Yeah. It's a rate of induction. Rate of induction. Think of it like, okay, well, it's not perfect, but like when you see waves, like you watch across the water, right? And you see that wave, that hump is coming towards the shore. You see it moving, right? Well, if there was these humps of water or if the water is actually moving towards the shore, then that water ought to be piling up there, right? But it doesn't. Now there's water sloshing around. Some of it pushes up for a second, but it washes back off. So there is disturbance of the water, right? but it's not just traveling towards the shore. That's not what's going on. It's just doing all kinds of stuff. The wave is traveling towards the shore through the medium, which is the water. So when that, and if you watch the water, you can see, how it's actually moving. If you try to look at the wave as if it's a stationary object, but it's still moving though. But kind of try to view it like that, and you see the water moving over it, because it's not the water's going up and down, and a lot of that water, those molecules are just going up and down as that wave passes. So think of light the same way. It's not perfect, but it works. It's good enough. Lockbeard says, Lockbeard's talking quantum entanglement. I'm all here for it. Well, but quantum entanglement, there's that word quantum. And we need to throw away the word quantum. Throw away the word quantum. If you go watch Kim Wheeler, like he'll rail on that. Well, he's railed in it for thousands of videos now at this point. He's been going on this crap for years, and quantum physics is just all messed up. It ain't right. There's nothing quantum about it, because they're always trying to look for a smaller and smaller particle to explain everything, and these particles don't exist. The smallest particle that exists is a proton, and electrons are not particles. Photons of light are not particles. Ken explains how all that works, what it actually is, and hopefully you understand why when these mainstream scientists observe certain things, and they're interpreting their observations as particles in these cases. That's an incorrect interpretation. Observations are pretty much okay. Interpretations are jacked up. But they're invested. They're invested in this particle nonsense. Everything's got to have a particle. And if we ain't fully explained stuff, we need to do some more maths, and then we need to discover a particle to explain some shit, and somehow assign some kind of function of the particle. They're jacking it all up, but they're stuck. They're stuck in a rut, and we need to knock them out of there. Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota near Jeff Harding. Walking out with 10. Yeah. Well, they stopped doing that. They stopped doing that after a while. They figured out, okay, we're just handing these guys an extra $10. They're not gambling. Yeah. Well, not everybody. Some of them were, but I watch too much, when I see, husband and wife arguing in the parking lot, leaving kids in the car, leaving dogs in the car, spending all their money in a few days, and then you don't see them for a while because they've gone broke gambling. Lady pulled up one time, windows busted out in the car, and I asked her what happened, and she said her husband busted it out because he didn't want her to come to the casino. Well, there might be a problem there. Maybe you got a gambling problem. just so much jacked up stuff. People losing their businesses because of gambling addiction. It's just a disaster. It's just a disaster. Watch that Lockbeard show. Penny slot machines. Last of the Mohicans dude, total badass. Yeah, that's who he is. Yeah. Lucky Lemmings, for some reason, was always good to me. Says Donald. Mitchell Lee says, Jen, I have phobia touching coins and stickers. Just saying, send shivers down my spine. Jen says, Good deal, Donald. A few times I've gone to the casino for my friend's birthday or whatever. The penny machines are full. My eye says, Lockbeard, you can dislike word quantum, but that is the spooky stuff Einstein was talking about. Yeah. Well, but I'm making fun of Einstein though. Einstein called it spooky because he didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Because again, he thinks that he's got the stuff figured out, and that the speed of light is the limiting factor of speed in the universe, and yet you got this instantaneous action at a distance going on over here. Well, that can't happen if the speed of light is the limit on how fast things can travel. It can't be. So that's why he called it spooky, because it kind of spooked him. He's like, well, I don't know. This is why. How's this happen? It happens because Einstein was freaking wrong. He was freaking wrong. He was just a plagiarist. You know, I've said that a number of times, and I don't think people are either they're just not, they don't care, or they're not paying attention, or they're not, they're just writing it off and not believing it. But finally, one night, I said that Nikki's chat, and Nikki started poking around, looked it up, and found out it is true. Einstein stole a bunch of stuff, and he didn't even steal good stuff. That's the messed up thing. He stole stuff that he thought was some good science, but it wasn't, because he's not a real scientist. He's absolutely he should be tossed out. There's no genius there. It just isn't. People need to forget all about Einstein and go right over to Ken Wheeler, and then older folks that are dead now, long dead. Nikola Tesla, chief among them. Well, possibly. Very important one. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, you can delete Russell Brand from your intro. I cannot stand that fella. Oh, well, he's a weird fellow. That's true. Ginseng coins, but they never heard of that. What makes you not like them? Coins, pennies, money. Don't get me what you mean, Mr. Lee. Sorry, what? My eye says, Lockbeard, the slit experiment is spooky, as is all things that shouldn't be based on your gaps of understanding. Poor Einstein was spooked too. We are in good company. Well, it would seem to be, but see, the problem, this is where mainstream science is messed up again, though, right? Because, with the double slit experiment, you get different results depending on whether or not there's observation taking place, right? Well, it's going to spook mainstream scientists, because they don't understand, they don't understand what's going on. So when they saw that, because you're the answer, because they went into that, with we're going to determine if this thing is either a particle or a wave. But what happened, right? Depending on whether observation is taking place, depends on whether or not you get the result of particle or wave. And instead of saying, okay, because when that happened, they should have said, okay, there's a problem here. We need to go back to the drawing board, redesign the experiment, come up with some new hypotheses as to what is actually going on here, because apparently the two answers we were looking for are not correct, or not entirely correct, or something else is going on. Something was wrong. Did they do that? No. They threw up their hands and said, oh, it's just both. It's both. It's both a particle and a wave. No, it's not both a particle and a wave. That's absolute bullshit. And it's just crazy. This is what we're dealing with in mainstream science. A big tub of crap. And people can of course, most people are just accepting what the scientists are telling them as fact, instead of because they don't really know anything about any of this stuff anyway. But what just take away from this is that nothing can be both a particle and a wave. That is absolutely ridiculous. Ronald says, okay, pro class is starting now. My attention will be there for a bit. Okay. Sounds good, Donald. My eye says, let me translate what Lockbeard is saying. This little experiment is freaking spooky. Well, I don't think it's spooky. Because it's thoroughly explained if you get your science right. Einstein is spooked by some of this stuff. Other scientists maybe not knowing what they're truly dealing with. But again, they just threw their hands up and said, well, it must be both. It can't be both. You guys failed to figure out anything from your experiment. And all these scientists, look, if anybody's listening out there that's one of these scientists involved with this nonsense, and all you guys over there at the Particle Collider, you too, you need to go over to Kim Wheeler's channel, because he spent years, thousands of videos trying to teach people the proper interpretation of these experimental results. And it is not that anything is both a particle or both a particle and a wave. That's a ridiculous conclusion to make. And just a massive failure of science. Maya says, Lockbeard, the particle wave isn't the point. It's the implications on reality that is spooky. I concur. Well, yeah, that observation changes the result. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I mean, but I don't find it spooky at all, because all this is kind of a confirmation that everything in the universe, every single point in existence is conscious, and that's okay. There's nothing to be, because Kim Wheeler uses this analogy. When you got soapy water in a sink, right, and you got the soap bubbles on the surface of the water, and you can look at all those soap bubbles, and they all are reflecting. When you're looking at those soap bubbles, they're all reflecting an image. You know, like you might see yourself there. You might see a light on the ceiling. You'll see the ceiling, or whatever there is to be a reflected image on those bubbles. And every single bubble has the same image. It might be from a slightly different angle, but every single bubble is reflecting the same image. We are the bubbles, and we're reflecting the one mind. All of reality is one conscious entity. If I guess that's a good enough term to use. It's one mind, and we all are each of those little bubbles, reflecting I mean, really, what's going on is we're tuning in to the signal, right? Because your brain is again another again it's just how do you explain these things to people, right? Ken uses this one as well. The brain is a radio, right? It tunes into the signal. It's not the radio station. It's a radio. Now, you what you would call your soul, your spirit, your consciousness, whatever, is signals that your brain picks up. It's a radio that picks it up. The water molecules are the antenna, right? Each water molecule is an antenna. If there is no water in your body, you will not be conscious anymore. Well, you'd actually be just flat out dead too. But you can't you can't pick up the signal without the antenna, and you can't tune it without the radio. And this is how you come to be a conscious being, which we just lost all the quantum physicists in the audience. Ocean Bond says, since sixth sense, which happens randomly, is tied to consciousness, we just need to exercise those thoughts. Well, in general, I tend to think of this as like, for this reality to work, like, we have to have, no memory of being part of the one consciousness, right? So even though we're all one thing, right? We're on one entity, we're all one mind, but we don't remember it. And that memory of that must be blocked while we're inside we're tuned while we're operating this meat puppet, I guess. I don't know what the appropriate words really. There may not be any appropriate words to use for half this shit because it's some wild shit. But while we're operating this meat puppet, we must not remember being the one mind, because well, I don't know if we remembered that, then we wouldn't exist as individuals in this world, right? And we couldn't interact with each other and have new experiences. I'm because what's the meaning of all this? Why does this exist? Why does the one mind? I can't say for certain until I freaking die, at which point my signal is no longer tuned through this body, and it returns to being part of the one mind and fully in full memory of who I am. But I have to wonder if the entirety of all existence is one consciousness. Is it lonely? Is that why this reality was created? So that the universe could have individual experiences that seemed new, and actually have these short lives experiencing existence with others to spend time with. So it's bored and lonely. Is that what's going on here? Can't say for sure. But can you imagine being an infinitely existing entity, all alone, nothing new to ever learn or experience because it has knowledge of all things? What would you do to have new experiences, even for a short period of time, in a body that has been designed to make you forget who you are for a while? That will allow you to interact with others, even though those others are also you, who have forgotten who they are. How tormented is this entity, really, if you think about it? But anyway, about the sixth sense. I think the sixth sense is something that's not really supposed to happen in this reality. That it's a mistake when it occurs. But it's hard to keep a hard, fast rule like that, perhaps, because obviously sometimes that mistake occurs. So if it can occur sometimes, if we consciously try to learn how to bypass the normal rules like that, maybe we can bend the rules by learning how to do it. Kind of like the Matrix movie, right? You know, some of these rules can be bent or broken. It might really be kind of like that. Maya says, we are living in an interface that is receding as we are turning our head. I am cool with that because I already went through my existential crisis. Most people haven't. It's an adjustment. Mr. Lee says, Ocean Pond, I exercise my sixth sense all the time, riding over 100 miles an hour on my bike. Rendering, not receding. Yeah. You think you broke me? Mr. Lee says, Ocean Pond, it requires 100% concentration. Ocean Pond says, that's one way, Mr. Lee, super awareness. We are Borg. Yeah, we are the Borg. Donald says, Mr. Lee, okay, Peckerneck. Donald's back. Yeah, he's back. Resistance is futile, says Bones. Mai says, don't worry, folks. It's all better than you think. Nothing has changed. Meat puppet rule. Yeah. Back and forth. They get the cars off the pad. I'm not sure exact. I'm a little behind in the chat, so I'm not sure exactly what you're saying yes to. But Mr. Lee says, I'm never bored. Just saying. Mr. My Eye says, Lockbeard is okay. It has you and us. What, the Matrix? My Eye says, and it has Mr. Lee. What else do you need? Jen says, so in Star Trek terms, it is Q. We Borg. Now I broke Lockbeard. Sorry. Quick Witties here. Haven't been here. Well, actually, you haven't been on this channel ever. The YouTube completely deleted, or Google, my Google account has been taken away from me. This is a new account. So luckily you found it. As you can see, I'm starting all over. I've started uploading the older LOCKBEARD Phenomena live streams, and I'm going to try and get them all those uploaded here. I don't intend to upload all the LOCKBEARD random lives. Instead, everybody wants to see the old ones. They need to go over to the LOCKBEARD channel on Rumble. But yeah, you found me. They killed. Now you can still see the old LOCKBEARD channel. It's still on YouTube, but I can't access it. You can still go view the old episodes and stuff. Now the backup channel that I had, that I started using to do a lot of shorts, because I was trying to build it up and get it monetized, because I've been trying like hell to get monetized, because I need that. But YouTube is just always standing in my way. And they finally just killed my account because they didn't like something political I put up on the spare channel. But got a new channel here. I started a new shorts channel as well. And going to go forward and try a little harder not to piss off the YouTube Nazis. Mr. Lee says Matrix movie 1 and 2. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was okay with all the first 3 ones, but this last one I'm not even going to watch. I've seen enough in the clips and the spoiler reviews and all that stuff. I've seen all I need to see. It looks like an absolute turd. Mai says, Jen, we are Borg, who are lots of fun. We are Party Borg. Exactly, Mai. Crystalline entity, that's exactly the free party bus going to the spring break of Epic. What in the hell are you? I'm not even sure. I know you're referring to the crystalline entity, though. Donald says, you should see my Matrix moves. They're outstanding. You got some bullet time moves. Bullet time moves. Jen says to Eyes, you got the kegger. Borgette doing the keg stand in the Star Wars bar. Oh my gosh, you just committed a massive sin. All the Trekkies and the Star Wars nerds are gonna be mad at you you cross the streams. You cross the streams. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, you can still watch Lockbeard on Lockbeard if that makes sense. Sure, Mr. Lee. Sure. Drink up my eyes. Mr. Lee says, let the right one in the series. Fantastic, just saying. Let the right one in series. Not sure what you're saying there, Mr. Lee. Not sure. Quick Witty says, not sure how you can get canceled when I watch Vault say he killed someone when he was like 12. WTF. It's because my politics are wrong. You know, I was going too hard on the left. I mean, they'll use their policies as an excuse. Like they said, there was a series of shorts that I was doing that had some pretty racy material in it, and it was making a lot of fun of some far left nut jobs, and YouTube don't like it when you do that. So they used one of their policies to have an excuse to take the whole channel down. So I guess I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to be more gentle with the far left snowflakes in the future. Maya says, quantum chicks cross the streams, deal with it. Quick footy, what the fuck, says Mr. Lee. Yeah, man, Volt gets away with some bullshit, like threatening people and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. And like my videos didn't show, like, all right, you could see clearly in those shorts that there was some thrusting going on, but you couldn't see any of the naughty parts, right? And I was putting the heads, like that last one. I put Anna Navarro's head on the female in the video, and that female was getting railed by a man with the head of Donald Trump on it. And the reason why because she used the word bigly. But anyway, that was the last one I did, and then my channel got canned for that. But again, you couldn't see any of her bits and pieces or his or anything like that. But you can go and watch, a vaginal inspection on YouTube. You can go and watch a bunch of people dancing completely naked. But because it's art, you can look at penises and vaginas all day long. But so it's not fair. They just don't like my political messaging. Hopefully, the YouTube version of Elon Musk comes along and tears this place apart. Or maybe Law and Order hits this place and sends these guys to jail for manipulating elections and censoring American citizens in violation of their constitutional rights to free expression. Now YouTube will try and claim, well, we're private business. We don't. No. The internet is a public square. You can't come into public square and suppress free speech. You can't operate your business in the public square and then suppress free speech. So get over it and go to jail. Quick, what he says. Yeah, Mr. Lee, how does that work? Donald says, killed someone when he was 12, but as a graduate of Old Miss, a POW, and John Rambo, the douche has more fantastical stories. Yeah, and I imagine they'll keep getting bigger. They'll probably keep getting bigger. I think that's why his teeth are falling out. He needs room to tell these big-ass stories. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I don't believe a word that fella Volt says. Yeah, he's a serious liar. My eye says, Lockbeard, be kinder, gentler consciousness, dude. And I don't want to see cartoons being violent. Maybe instead we can just be witty because you're funnier than that. Thank you, my eyes. Thank you. Let me see. I was gonna play because I don't know. I haven't ever gone to Hanobi, but here's a little video, little news about Hanobi.
And welcome to southeastern Oklahoma, deep in the wilderness. In fact, it's so remote around here, it's widely believed to be Bigfoot territory. The Sasquatch legend is growing fast in the woods of southeastern Oklahoma.
So I turn and I go like this, and I'm like, what? There was a face. I could have sworn. So I went back, and there was a face staring straight at me.
Reported sightings of the mythical creature are chillingly common around here, and no story is too wild to be taken seriously.
It's the dermal prints on it, so you can tell it's authentic.
The fascination for Bigfoot runs so deep in Hanobi, Oklahoma, that every year thousands of enthusiasts gather around here to celebrate all things Sasquatch.
Oh, how cute.
The festival started 16 years ago and has evolved into one of the country's largest Sasquatch festivities.
I guess this would be our Super Bowl.
It's a two-day event in the mountains that attracts Bigfoot believers from across the country.
If you want to hear them, you might make a call and be able to hear a call back. Except whenever you hear a call back, obviously it's going to be way deeper.
You also meet skeptics.
I've seen the footprints before. It's like, yeah, is he real?
It's all the same to local vendors and their clever merchandise.
There's a Bigfoot howl right here.
For hardcore believers, the festival's highlight is the day-long conference with renowned Bigfoot scholars.
And I happen to look, and it's an 8-foot sass, white sass.
But it's around sundown that things get spooky, when everyone is invited to share their encounter stories.
We estimated it around 12 feet in height.
All that Bigfoot knowledge comes handy at night when folks go back to the camping grounds. You heard some howling here yesterday evening.
Yeah, last night about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It wasn't a wolf or a coyote or something like that, but yeah, you can tell it was something different.
Come back tomorrow and we'll tell you how the night went. We don't have any locks or anything for the zippers.
The mystique and folklore of Bigfoot world is what makes it so appealing. According to a 2020 survey, 11% of Americans believe Sasquatch is real. Whether or not you believe in the Bigfoot legend, its economic footprint in this part of the Sooner State is sure hard to miss.
Go outside, worst case scenario, Bigfoot kills you.
In Hatchitown, about 40 minutes away from the festival, store owner Janet Kress says business is booming.
This is your Bigfoot lifetime hunting permit.
In large part thanks to the hundreds of Bigfoot items she sells.
He comes by every night. He leaves us little locks of hair. We put them in a bottle and we sell Bigfoot hair.
It's the same story all over the region. You can take a spin at Bigfoot Speedway and fill up your tank at Gasquatch. Owner Phil Silva will give you $3 million if you bring back a Sasquatch alive.
No one's tried to claim the money yet.
Back at the festival, the final day starts with a 5K race in the mountains with a Bigfoot sighting at the finish line. Jokes aside, Sasquatch believers say the festival is a safe place to learn from one another without being ridiculed.
Lord, we gather again through your grace to get together and talk about a topic that some people believe is controversial.
Here, they can fully enjoy their hobby and celebrate nature and those who live in its midst. Ben Chamiso, Honaby, Oklahoma.
Maybe one day I should go. I'm not that far from it. But it's just, it's a Bigfoot festival, which means there's just a bunch of nonsense. If you want to go buy, souvenirs and stuff, I mean, you can do that, but I'm not interested in Bigfoot souvenirs. That's just not my thing. So, and people just making up crap or who have bought into stuff that has no proof, or I swear I'm going to put corned beef in there with a trail cam on it. Hey, I bet that'll work. That'll work better than anything. Because clearly they eat meat. You had that one dude long time ago who was trying to come up with this nonsense. But I think I swear, these vegans pop up and they want to make everything a damn vegan. Bigfoot's not a vegan. There's no way. I mean, for the same reason, look, humans developed our specific traits, the upright stance, the shape of our foot, the ability to throw accurately. Like our shoulder structure is completely different from chimpanzees. We've changed a lot. And if you look at a Sasquatch, the description of Sasquatch is from the witnesses that seem credible. They appear to be designed the same. Also, there's lots of stories of them throwing things at people and being quite accurate. They can throw stuff all around you, because I think if they wanted to hit you, they could hit you just fine. But and they would throw accurately. But you add all this stuff up to upright stance. They got a human-shaped foot. It's nowhere near what the chimpanzees were. This thing is fully developed with the morphological characteristics of a human. And so that being said, what we know for a fact about humans is that we were specifically designed to eat an entirely fatty meat diet. We're specifically designed for that. They got isotopic data that proves this. In old bones and stuff like that, they can show this. Along with basically, if you got any kind of illness right now, if you go and you start to eat a pure meat diet, you will eliminate the symptoms of almost everything and cure a lot of things if your body isn't too damaged to heal. Don't believe me? Give it a try. You got diabetes, you will not need medication after a while. It'll take a while. You got problems with your bowel, it'll go away. You got problems concentrating, that will improve. Heart disease, not a problem. It'll probably go away too. Depending, of course, it just depends on how badly you've damaged your body, but you're going to be fine. And anyway, because if Sasquatch is Homo sapiens, it means they are also possessed of this thoroughly evolved over millions of years, designed to eat meat. So anyone who tries to tell you that they eat mostly plants is just sorely mistaken. I guarantee you. If the descriptions of the eyewitnesses that seem to be credible are accurate, these things are human, and we got plenty of people who have talked about seeing them actually on the hunt. We got the two credible witnesses that are kind of in these circles, right? Satch and Jay, and both of them, when they saw the big hairy dude, what they saw was something that was appeared to be just a big hairy human in the act of hunting. These are meat eaters, so your best bait is meat, guaranteed. If you're gonna try to bait them, I don't know if I wouldn't put it in like a cage. If you cage a Bigfoot, you're probably just gonna piss them off. But gas squatch, that's good. Don says, Mr. Lee, they look like a big rock. They are for horses and cattle. I guess I used to get them at Blue Steel feed store. Yeah, don't they have salt blocks for cattle over there, Mr. Lee? Bought them for your horses. Mineral blocks, not corned beef. Mr. Lee says, oh no, vegan BS. Yeah, forget those vegans, man. Mai says, I have Faraday cloth to wrap around the trail cam. Probably a good idea. If you got it, just to be on the safe side. For anyone that's wanting to do that kind of thing, my only problem with the whole thing is, for one, we don't know that they can detect magnetic fields. We don't know that at all. So it's kind of a long shot, wild guess at this point. But if it's easy enough for you to do it, why not? If you want to mess with it, go ahead. But you a Faraday cage is just a metal barrier that blocks signals, it's just like a microwave. A microwave is a Faraday cage. The reason why it's got that screen in the door is to block the microwaves from coming out. That's all it is. Some depending on the type of waves you're dealing with, it depends on how big of a hole you can get in your screening, but a solid sheet of metal will do fine. So you don't need to buy, don't buy expensive anything. You could wrap the trail cam with aluminum foil, and you have wrapped a Faraday cage around it. Although I would say, of course, that's gonna, it's not camouflage anymore, right? So get some camo paint, maybe spray paint it, or make it out of something else metal. I don't know, but I don't know what you're paying for the Faraday cloth, but and then also how effective it will be anyway. But and then I would ground it, put a ground wire on it, and of course make sure that's hidden too, or camouflage or something. But But at the end of the day, what I think we're dealing with here is a couple of things. One, they're out there 24/7. And if you come in their woods, somebody's going to spot you. One of them's going to spot you. They're going to see you put that camera up almost all the time, as long as they're in the area. Two, if someone moves something in the slightest, you say you live alone, you go home and you see, I don't know, maybe there's a vase of flowers sitting on a table and it's not sitting where you put it. You're probably going to notice it. Or something that's more permanent, a lamp. You show up and this lamp is moved 2 inches. You're going to notice it. These guys are in the woods 24/7. So, if we walk out into the woods and we're being mindful of trail cams and looking for them, we're probably going to spot them a lot of the time, and we can pick them out. They're camouflaged, but we can still pick them out. They're going to be 10 times better at picking them out, or more. They're going to be way better at picking them out. So, like a camouflage trail cam is not the slightest bit hidden from Sasquatch eyes. It just isn't. I don't believe it for a second. It's not hidden from my eyes. Why would it be hidden from their eyes? I can see the damn thing just fine. So that's, these kind of ideas is why it was what the Sasquatch researchers need to know. They need to think about. They need to understand. They got to think of this thing as a human, because I think they are, and fully capable of intellectual thought on our level or even greater. And they can see those trail cams just fine. I don't think those trail cams are hidden from them at all. But of course, try Faraday cloth, try Faraday cage of some kind. But I've seen nothing convincing to prove that they are sensing electrical fields. So I personally probably won't be messing with that kind of thing. But Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I know you don't like Bigfoot Odyssey, but yesterday's show with Randy sounds credible to me. Huh. Randy, you say. Maya says, but I like kale. I like my kale and pineapple smoothie. Hey, you can poison yourself if you want. That's your business. I'm just saying, kale didn't even exist in nature until man selectively bred it. Pineapple would have been something, that would only exist in certain regions. It's, it's only limited. It's limited. There weren't farms growing pineapples. There weren't supermarkets with pineapples. Our ancestors had almost no access to pineapples. And if they ever ate them, it would have been on a very, very rare occasion. But hey, you do you. You do you. Mr. Lee says, my eyes, pineapple is poison. Kale is okay. Well, you're still keto. Kale's actually poisonous. Kale's loaded with all kinds of toxic compounds, carcinogens, poisons of all kinds. When you eat kale, you survive it. That doesn't mean you're eating something healthy. It's not good for you at all. They lied about that. They lied about that. Imagine you try to feed kale to a lion. It's just as bad to feed kale to a human. Lion's not supposed to eat kale. It's supposed to eat, meat. And that is what we're supposed to eat. So if you want optimal health, you got to drop the kale, but it's your business. My eyes, says Mr. Lee, bromine is good for my eyes. That's everything to me. Jen says, listening to the wind rattle the windows, I feel it's a feel like temperature of 17 here. That's pretty cold. Maya says, oh no, Jen, Burr, nice here. I have cameras out tonight. It's not as cold as what Jen's dealing with, but it's cold enough here. That's for sure. Donald says, Mr. Lee, one thing I will never quit is dried pineapple. It's my kryptonite. Bromine is acid, says Mr. Lee. The acid eats through those floaters, their studies. Mr. Lee says, Donald, whatever rocks your boat, dude, I will never stop preaching keto. Never stop preaching keto. For life, though. Yeah. Hopefully, I can turn you into a carnivore one day, Mr. Lee. Y'all need to go over and watch some Bart K. He's like, there's other people telling it how the truth, but like, don't go to Frank Tufano anymore. Frank started eating bread and all kinds of crap. He's fallen way the hell off the wagon. But Bart K, there's a YouTube channel called Bart K. He used to be a professor, and now he is into YouTube, and I think he consults clients or whatever, helping them to heal themselves and whatever else, lose weight or whatever it is their goal is. But the short version of it is that humans are designed to eat meat entirely, fatty red meat and fish. That's all you need. All your nutrition is there, and if you eat anything from a plant, it's going to cause some problems with proper absorption of nutrition in your diet. So you don't want to eat any plants. They're also loaded with toxins, and which is gonna your body can handle it, but it's not gonna get you to any kind of optimal health position if you're eating plants. Bark is good. Camp. Camo. Bark for camo. Yeah. Maya says, but won't I see footprints in the snow? Mr. Lee says, what's the best way to prepare yourself to see a Sasquatch? I don't know, Mr. Lee. A person can try to go over it in their head 1,000 times, and are they going to be able to be truly prepared? As we've seen from these guys who seem like credible witnesses. Well, I mean, what I think didn't Jay say it took him 55 years to. It's been 55 years. Like he couldn't talk about it for that long. That's crazy. But he didn't have any kind of preparation. Now, those of us that talk about this issue, I think we hopefully have built some degree of preparation for it. All I know is, like, as much time as I've been in the woods, and the Appalachians was when I was probably in the most remote places I had ever been. Because like a video we just watched where he's talking about how remote Hanobi is as he stands next to a paved road. Yeah, I mean you're right next to the national forest, and it's pretty wild there, pretty wild there. But he drove there on a paved road. It ain't like he's hiked miles into the mountains or anything. But there's a lot of open space down there. But yeah, and so and I wasn't looking for Sasquatch when I was in the Appalachians. I was looking for gold, but there was one place I got to. I was climbing up and following this stream coming down and trying to see if I could find some gold in that stream. And when I had a feeling that I was being watched, and that I felt like I just needed to turn around and leave. I don't think I was scared. I just felt like I needed to leave. So I turned around and I left. I guess I wasn't prepared to push the issue with whatever it was that was watching me. I don't know what it was. I mean, you may choose to believe that there was a Sasquatch there. I don't know that for sure. Maybe it was a person, like a dangerous person hiding in the woods. I don't know. I really don't think it's anything like a cougar or a black bear. Those things don't worry me at all. These animals are just not a threat to an adult male human. I mean, one of them might decide to try and come at you, but you just gotta kick their ass, right? And take your knife if you need to and deal with it. But so I don't think it was those kind of animals. I mean, I've been in many places where those animals could have and should have been, and just never been the least bit concerned about anything in the woods anywhere I've been. But there was something there that I needed to worry about. I mean, as far as, well, I don't know if I'd say it was worry. I just felt like I shouldn't be there, and that I needed to turn around and leave. And so that's what I did. I just turned around and retraced my steps and left out of there the way I came. Something didn't want me there, I felt like, and was watching me, and I just needed to leave. But I wasn't too horribly freaked out or anything like that. It was just I just shouldn't be there. So I don't know. I think if when I do see one, I mean, it's going to be, some heart pumping, but I don't see any reason to be fearful of them. Otherwise, I don't think they just snatch people up all the time. I'm not buying into this narrative that they're out there snatching people up and they're going missing 411 on our ass. I'm just not buying it. There was plenty of times when I was pretty young, and I went out into some areas that were, I was hopping fences and going into the woods and following creeks and I mean, go far enough back, I was probably small enough that a cougar probably could have killed my ass. I don't know. But I wasn't the least bit worried about it. I was just running around, and if Sasquatch was out there, I'm sure they could if they want to, but they never did. So I just don't think that they're dangerous to us. You listen to Satch's story, and I mean, he interrupted the damn thing's hunt, and and it didn't touch him. So if we talk about Jeff's story, I mean, assuming you consider that story credible and real, that could be a very unique case. And even then, he still got out of it alive. He got reprimanded or something. Who knows what the thing's thinking, But Donald says, Randy who? Randy DeBrune. Never heard of him, says Donald. His encounter sounded amazing. Donald says, Mr. Lee enjoys the gin meal too much to be faithful to keto. Pecker neck. Mr. Lee says, Gin's for girls. My says, Donald, Mr. Lee are my favorite chat duo. They would make a great channel. Donald says, Mr. Lee, at this point, with all the talk we have made, it shouldn't be any different than seeing a bear, a moose, a pine marten. Mr. Lee says, in Appalachian Mountains, you have hillbillies. Oh, yeah, there's hillbillies all up in that bitch, man. But there's hillbillies all over. There's hillbillies in Oklahoma. In addition to this one, prepare for anything. Donald says, sorry, I didn't realize my caps lock was on. I wasn't hollering at you, Mr. Lee. Unnamed gaffer. Jen says, going to stop over at Suzanne's for a bit. Maybe back if you're still going. We probably won't be. Probably wrap her up in just a second, but thanks for hanging out. Michael says, is the brown boxers effect real? Is the brown boxers effect real? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Mr. Lee says, I've had many times I could have been zeroed. I've survived, though, by the skin of my teeth. I will see the Sasquatch one day, and I have questions for him. You do, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee says, Michael Haywood, that's some kind of underwear. Brown boxers effect? What are you talking about? Brown boxers effect. Donald says, Michael Haywood, that's some kind of oh no, that it didn't click over. Dang it, there it goes. Donald says, I'm a hillbilly, Mr. Lee. I live on the north side of Arrowhead Mountain. Jen says, and I thumbs up, Mr. Lee. Don't call me knucklehead. Gotta run. Thank you for being a gracious host. Lockbeard, good night all. Thank you, my eyes, and we'll see you next time. Alrighty. Thanks for stopping by. I don't know if we accomplished squat, but maybe we explored some things and made people think about some things that they hadn't really thought of before. Like I said, it isn't that I necessarily think we should like take Indian legends as 100% fact, but it just helps. It's a helpful indicator of something that I've been saying based on the observational data that we have, that I think that they are Homo sapiens. They are a race of large, hairy Homo sapiens with intellectual capabilities equaling our own, if not better. And the Indians' stories seem to just about all talk about them as if they are another tribe of people. So that makes me wonder if that helps to give some level of credence to what I'm claiming. That I think based on what I hate to say no, but no, they are human based on what I think I have enough information to to conclude. And therefore, Indian legends agree more closely with me than anyone else out there. Because everybody else, nobody wants to. I don't know that. I mean, there's been a couple people here and there, like in chat and stuff, but as far as, you know, anyone that calls themselves and then a Bigfoot investigator, a Bigfoot researcher, or they're you know, podcasting about the subject or whatever they're doing, I don't know if there's anyone out there that agrees with me that they are almost certainly Homo sapiens, but the Indian legends do. So take that for what it's worth. Donald says soiled underwear, Lockbeard. I don't know what you guys are talking. Why are you talking about soiled underwear? I haven't soiled myself at all today. Michael says all of the people who have that have shat themselves during an okay. Talking about crapping yourself during an encounter. God. I don't see that happening to me, but Mr. Lee says, Michael Haywood, I ain't gonna lie, happened to me a few times. Michael says, when you got scared, Mr. Lee? Not really, he says. All right, let's wrap her up. I don't know, you know, if anybody else is doing anything tonight. Was Nikki talking about doing like a late one tonight? Maybe she'll be on. So, you know, if you like Hairy Man hoaxes and hoodwinks, you might check and see if she's going to be live. On occasion these days, Matt with Central Florida Bigfoot comes on Saturday nights. Rarely now. He used to do it every Saturday night, but not anymore. But sometimes he does come on. So there's some places you can guys go chill in the chat and watch a live stream. You know, covering the Bigfoot topic. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, you sleeping well in the van? Not too cold tonight. It's been a little colder than what I prefer. You know, it's been getting down in the low 20s and whatnot, and that's just too cold. But let's keep my blankets on, and I don't know, unless I get some more income where I need to be able to afford propane, man, is, you know, and to justify running the propane heater, you know. So I'm trying to get different, you know, I've applied for a lot of different stuff and trying to get different, you know, need more income coming in. So apparently YouTube spit me up. So, you know, it looked like I might, like, I almost bet, looking at how fast the subscribers were adding to the backup channel, that I would have had that channel monetized, if not by now, but really, really quick. There was one day I added 100 subs in a day. The videos that day that I had uploaded, the shorts videos, just clicked. They just clicked. Well, shouldn't say they all did. For the most part, they didn't, but there was one or two that did really, really well and brought a lot of subs. No, I don't have a sleeping bag. I just have blankets. Is that a wrap? Is that a wrap? Oh, thank you, Donald. Mr. Lisa Lockbeard, I am thinking of you every day in cold weather, especially. Well, I'm surviving. Tired. So I'm probably, I don't know if I'm going to, if there's someone else going live here in a minute, I might not make it. It's been a long day. Yeah, so I, had to be around people and stuff today, which is good. It's not complaining. It's just, um, I can't control anxiety, and so that's just the way it is. I don't know what else I don't know what to do about it. I mean, I tried CBD oil. I know people suggested that over and over again. It didn't work. Michael says, Lockbeard, have you ever tried the tea light candles for heat? Well, I got a candle down here if I want, but problem, is it only puts out so much heat. So, and also it's dangerous, it could accidentally start a fire, blah blah blah. They last 4 hours. And then I'd be burning here, is it good to breathe? I just don't know. I don't know if that would be an option. So candles in a metal pan and clay pot over the pan absorb heat. I mean, occasionally I have lit the candle. Like, I don't light the candle in the summertime because it's too hot anyway, but in the wintertime I will on occasion. But it's not getting cold enough yet. In the low 20s, it's not cold enough that I'm in need of any kind of supplemental heat, really. It would be nice. It'd be more, comfortable, but I get by in the low 20s just fine. But one of my problems with the temperature fluctuations, living out of the van is it's hard on the computer. It's hard on the cell phones. So yeah. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, you need a girlfriend to warm you up too. Just saying. Oh, they're just nothing but trouble, Mr. Lee. At this point, I'm just there's just been so much crap that I've dealt with in the past that I don't know how eager I would be to jump into any kind of situation and ever again. That being said, who knows, Mr. Lee? I don't know. I just I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from some of the shit I've had to deal with in the past. I'm just exhausted. I'm like, why in the hell do I have to deal with this shit? Yeah, just one day I was done. I was like, I have enough. I've had enough. Especially with the last one where starting fights for no damn reason, throwing shit. I just can't. I don't look. I don't want to cohabitate with someone who is going to destroy the peace of the home. I need peace in my home. I can't deal with. I don't want any fighting. I certainly don't want anything physical, happening, shit being thrown, and I don't. Why would I want to purposely invite that into my life? That's I can't I can't. I don't even know how to properly process this kind of thing. But it happened to me. I'm like, why in the hell? What the hell did I do to deserve this? But at some point, Mr. Lee, I just got fed up with all manner of bullshit. All manner of bullshit. Got fed up. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I'm sending you the good vibes. You will feel them in minutes now. Where am I gonna feel these vibes, Mr. Lee? Where am I gonna feel these vibes, Mr. Lee? I got lucky with my girlfriend 26 years, man. That's a long sentence. It's a long sentence. Will you ever get out on parole? All right, Mr. Lee, this ain't Bigfoot subject matter. What in the hell? Everybody, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell, activate all notifications. The channel has been struck down, and we're now resurrecting it, and we need to get it back to where it was and beyond. So need you guys to put it on your social media, share it out, email it to people, whatever you can, to get the videos out there. Mr. Lee's laughing. What the hell? All right. Thanks for coming. See you next time.